Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the groundbreaking ceremony for the Alabama State Veterans Memorial Cemetery at Spanish Fort. Let's give ourselves a round of hands. I know that each one of you have invested in getting us here today, and I want to thank you. If you'll please stand with us for the posting of the colors. Then we'll have our national anthem performed by Addison Garner, and then we'll have our Vice Chairwoman of our board, Dee Harden, lead us in the pledge. Thank you.
Carry. Come. Ready. Two.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I invite you all to pray with me. Almighty Lord, we begin today preparing a resting place for the few. When the nation asks, whom shall we send? The few answer, "Here I am, send me." We pray your blessings and protection upon this place. Until the day of resurrection, may it remain a place of honor and remembrance and an example of service to something greater than ourselves. To all who will one day come here, eternal rest grant unto them, O Lord, and let the perpetual light shine upon them. May the souls of the faithful departed by your mercy rest in peace. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Oh, word. March.
Please be seated. I want to thank Chaplain Holloway for praying for us today. Again, welcome to this hallowed ground. We want to thank you for being here. My name is Sandy Speakman. I'm General Counsel for the Department of Veterans Affairs. And one of my favorite parts of my job, not just taking care of veterans, but it's working on this project. And I want to thank you so much for being here today to show your support for this project today. I also want to draw your attention to our fine band over here. I want to thank Director Ken Hughes for bringing us the University of Mobile Ram Corps Band. And we're going to do our Armed Forces medley. And we ask that you please wave your flags high. And when your military branch song is played, please stand proudly or wave your flag high so we can applaud for you. Mr. Hughes? I have to say that's one of my favorite parts of these programs. In addition to the guests that we have at the podium, we have several distinguished guests with us today, and I just want to let you know who's here with us today. I just want to make sure I haven't overlooked him. Is Congressman Callahan here? Did he make it down front? I know he was going to try to be here today. Well, we also have our State Board of Veterans Affairs members. Today we actually met up at our W.F. Green home for our board meeting, and we have our members today. So if I could ask my board members to please stand. Thank you so much. We also have several state officials with us. We have Senator Bill Holtz-Claw, who is the chairman of the Senate Veterans Affairs Committee. We also have several of your local representatives who are state representatives. We have Representative Steve McMillan, Representative Joe Faust, Representative Harry Shiver, and Representative Randy Davis. I also want to take a moment to say a special thank you to your Baldwin County Commissioners. Can I please have Commissioner Dorsey, Commissioner Gruber, and Commissioner James please stand? Is Mayor Bonner here? No, he said he was going to try to come. I wanted to make sure we acknowledged him. And we also have the privilege of having several of our national cemetery directors here. We have Quincy Whitehead, as well as Angela Nash from Barrancas. And Mr. Chris Olson from the VA Regional Office in Montgomery. Thank you, everyone, for being here, and I will turn the mic over to our VA Commissioner, Rear Admiral Clyde Marsh.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my professional pleasure to introduce an outstanding leader, a successful businessman, a public servant who gives his unwavering support to Alabama veterans. As chairman of the State Board of Veteran Affairs, he sets high standards of excellence, ensuring our veterans and their family members receive the best possible service and benefits that the state has to offer for them serving their country. Since taking office, Alabama has lost 7 service members in the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. As a caring leader, he has made a point to visit with the families of the fallen. A veteran himself, he understands the burden of war and the tremendous sacrifices made by those who wear our nation's cloth. In a short time, Governor Bentley is in full stride leading our state to better days ahead. And today, this is part of a new beginning. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome me in welcoming our greatest veteran supporter and our state commander-in-chief, Governor Robert Bentley.
America would not be free if it were not for soldiers.
How about the ring?
Now, what was that? Are you not? You don't think Marines are soldiers?
No.
Well, we're not going to get into this battle. Now, we're here to celebrate, not to fight. You know, Alabama is a very pro-American state. We believe in the freedoms that we are able to enjoy in this state and in this country. Americans should always honor the soldiers and the Marines that come from our great state. We serve in the military from Alabama per capita as much as any state in the country. And at present time, we have over 400,000 veterans in this state. That's a lot of veterans. And I am so proud to be one. You know, most of us were drafted. We have a volunteer army now, but many of you who served, you were asked to serve, and you served willingly because you love this nation. Just like I love this country and I love this state, and I know you do the same thing. And I think it's a very fitting honor that we have a resting place for the veterans in this area or in this state who wish to be buried here. And so it's an honor for me to be here and to actually celebrate as we talk about having a place to honor these men and women who gave their lives and gave their time to serve this great nation of ours. One of the things that I do, and it's already been mentioned, one of the hardest things that I do is to go and spend time and put my arm around and visit and care about the people that have given their lives for our country. But I made a commitment when I became the governor of the state that I will do that. As long as I can physically do it, I am going to go visit with the families of fallen soldiers in this state. Now, I always hate to get a call from Colonel Horton because I know that we've lost one. But it's important. It's important to tell the people and the families of these young soldiers who have given their lives, it's important for the governor of the state to go and spend time with that family and to thank them for the sacrifice that they made and that their loved one made. And I'm going to continue to do that because I think it's important. One of the honors and the privileges that I have is to be the Commander-in-Chief of our National Guard here in Alabama. We've got an outstanding National Guard. In fact, people from all over the country come to want to serve with the Alabama National Guard. But it's not just our National Guard. It's all of our soldiers who presently serve in the military and who have volunteered to serve in the military. And all of you who have served in past wars, thank you for what you did. You know, in World War II, we had so many. That was a great generation, and we're losing many every day because of age. But we need to today remember everyone as we are preparing this cemetery to honor the soldiers that have given their lives and have given their time. Even though they may not have died in service, they went. They put on the uniform and they served this country and they did it honorably. And I am proud to be here today, and I am proud to be the governor of a state that loves this nation, that has so many military veterans in this state, and I am going to continue to honor them with my service. So thank you for allowing me to be here.
It is my privilege to introduce you again to Clyde Marsh, who is the VA Commissioner. He has served in this capacity since 2005, and under his direction, we have embarked on two major projects. One is ongoing in Pell City, which is our 4th Veterans Nursing Home, and this project, the Alabama State Veterans Memorial Cemetery at Spanish Fort. Admiral Marsh.
Good afternoon. Isn't this a great day for a groundbreaking and just a perfect location for the beginning of a new state veteran initiative? Governor Bentley, Secretary Morrill, Congressman Bonner, distinguished guests, veterans, ladies and gentlemen, It is my distinct honor to speak with you today about this Veterans Benefit Initiative. As I begin, I'm reminded that because of this initiative, it's a great day for veterans and it's a great day for Alabama. This journey at times reminded me about a story of an old man, a little boy, and a mule. One day an old man was caregiving or watching this little boy, and he needed to go to town. He had a mule, which was his only mode of transportation. So he put on the blanket on top of the mule. He and the little boy got on, and off to town they went. They had to pass a row of houses en route downtown. The first house they passed had spectators on the front porch who said, "Would you look at that? Both of them sitting up there on that mule, that poor old mule in this hot boiling sun." So the old man got off and he led the mule and let the little boy ride. They passed the next house and the folks on the porch said, "Would you look at that? That little boy should be ashamed of himself making that old man walk while he rides." The old man took the boy off the mule and they both walked, leading the mule past the next house. The observers or panelists on the porch said, "Look at that. That old man and boy walking, leading the mule. You would think they should have a sense enough to ride it." The old man was coming to his wits' end, so he decided to pick up the mule. He took one end, the little boy took the other end, and they both carried the mule past the last house. And the folks on the porch said, "Would you look at that? I've never seen such a sight in my life. That crazy old man and a little boy carrying a mule down the road." So as you can see, no matter what you do, some will always have pause to critique. So do your best, do the right thing, and no matter who is looking or critiquing, press on. Today is not about a county, a city, or a particular individual. Rather, it is about veterans. It is about veterans caring for veterans, and it's about a state that strongly supports veterans. Today is also about proudly serving America's finest and paying that last act of dignity and respect for those who pledged their all to defend this great nation. That said, we would not be breaking ground today without the vision, insight, and commitment of 17 State Board of Veterans Affairs members. Their names are in your program, but I want them to stand again so that you can see them and that we can recognize them. So board members, please stand. It is my honor to work with these highly dedicated and motivated veterans advocates because they care about veterans 24/7, and they will do anything they can to improve conditions for veterans in our state. This project is a product of their commitment. Seizing on the board's actions and recommendation, the legislators created a law allowing the State Department of Veterans Affairs to build and operate a state veterans cemetery. We're here today to witness history and witness firsthand the measures being taken to keep Abraham Lincoln's promise to care for him who have borne the battle and for their widow and orphans. As a state cemetery, this facility will be built and operated by the state of Alabama via the responsible agency. There are state cemeteries throughout the nation. I believe that they are all good cemeteries, and I know that they're providing great service for veterans and family members. The reason for that is the outstanding partnership between the Department of Veterans Affairs, United States, and the Department of Veterans Affairs at the state level. About 2 years ago, shortly after the board gave the green light to go ahead with this project, I received a call from Frank Salvas, who is the director of the Veteran Cemetery Grant Program. And he said, "I have good news and bad news. What do you want to hear first?" I told him, "Lead with the good news." And he said, "We at the headquarters central office, we have federal grant money, enough to fund your state cemetery. By the way, if we don't have enough, we will make sure you're at the top of the list for the next year to get the remainder of the funding." And he said, you know, I just want to make sure that you're up to the task and you can do this. And my words to him that yes, we were, and yes, we can. You know, the program normally takes about 9 to 10 months or so to go through that process. And he said, oh, by the way, you have several months to do this, to get all your pre-qualifications in so that we can approve this grant. We did. And it was in a little bit more colorful language that I told them we were ready and that we could do this. But in short, Frank Salvis, who leads the grant program, he helped us navigate through the turbulent waters of the grant approval process. So Secretary Morrow, you have the perfect team of highly trained professionals who are dedicated and easy to work with. And I know that they get that example from you. I want to take a moment to comment about our property that will be the foundation of our cemetery and the final resting place for our veteran heroes. And I'd like to thank the Baldwin County Commission, led by Frank Burt, for purchasing the 103 acres of land and then donating it to the state of Alabama for the purpose of building this cemetery. I want to thank them for helping us resolve some significant mineral rights issues that cleared the way for the state's ownership and for the state cemetery construction. On behalf of the state of Alabama and its 420,000 veterans, thank you for your commitment, your patriotism, and your service to veterans. I also want to thank Dr. Barry Booth for donating an additional 3 acres of property to increase the frontage of the cemetery and access to the cemetery from Highway 225. The $7 million that will build the first phase of the cemetery will also entail the administrative building, maintenance building, the communal shelter, a columbarium, and scatter guarding for cremains. It will have over 19,000 pre-placed crypts. We will also have a section for traditional burials for those veterans who choose to do so in Phase 1. Phase 1 is about a 22-acre development, and it will carry us through the first 10 years of the cemetery operations. We anticipate a burial rate of between 200 and 300 burials per year, and we would expect to open the second section in about 10 years or so. You develop sections in increments. But this cemetery will last Alabama for the next 100 years. Sandy Speakman, who you heard from earlier, is our Master of Ceremony. She also is the project coordinator who ushered us through the design, development, and transition to construction. She's done an outstanding job liaisoning with the federal partners and stakeholders. Sandy and our ADA staff, Bravo Zulu for a job well done. We also have the top gun of architects who designed all buildings and developed our cemetery master plan. Our state and veterans can be proud of the cemetery design and concept by Walcott, Adams, and Vernelli. And you will hear from Mac Walcott later. But Mac, thank you for your professionalism and commitment on this project. White Spawner is a construction company and builder who won the contract. White Spawner will turn our master plan into the Normandy American Cemetery or the Arlington of the South. Take your pick. We are truly excited and cannot wait to commence construction on 18 October 2011. We expect to be complete with Phase 1 and ready for burials within 15 to 18 months. In closing, just let me say that I am proud of the accomplishments of so many people who played key roles in this cemetery becoming a reality at the national level, at the state level, and at the local level. I would be remiss if I did not thank the American Legion for their assistance with our World War I M19 entrenching tool that we'll be using for the groundbreaking. Also for Post 188 for the American Legion for assisting with setup and parking. Also, the veterans of foreign wars who helped us purchase a fitting memento of this occasion with the button that many of you are wearing. Finally, my heartfelt thanks to the East Point Baptist Church for opening up their facilities for this ceremony and their fellowship hall for the reception. So, Pastor Rob Burns, thank you for your support. Thank you all for your attention and your attendance. God bless you. God bless this 103-acre site for our future cemetery, and God bless America.
It's my pleasure to turn the mic over to Mr. Frank Salvis, who has been a light in a process that sometimes you run into darkness a lot because you get told no or you can't figure out what you need to do, and you just call Frank Salvis and he'll first tell you that you're doing a good job and that it's going to be all right because it's for veterans. And I just tell myself that every day, Frank. It's because it's for the veterans that I do it. So please come to the mic, Frank, and introduce Undersecretary Muro.
Good afternoon, everybody. How y'all doing? I tell you, it's exciting when you can come together and hear everyone sing and everyone do the Pledge of Allegiance and do it with honor and respect. It warms my heart, and I have such passion about what it is that we're doing. And I've spent the last 33 years of my life serving veterans. And I think that to construct a facility here and the views that you will have, I can remember when I was with Barry Booth and we took the trip down on the Alligator down back in the hinterlands and looked at what are the possibilities and what we can possibly do. And you go, yeah, we can do this. And I do believe that, Sandy, we have to work together. And the partnership between the federal VA and the states is remarkable. We now have 82 veteran cemeteries on state property just like now. And we have another 9 that are under construction. We've opened up the first, we had the groundbreaking for the very first veteran cemetery on tribal trust land ever in the VA. And you know what? It's not about Republican, Democrat. It's not about who is supporting the budget or who's doing whatever. It's about doing the right things for veterans. And that gives me so much energy and my staff so much energy. Our process is kind of a stranglehold through a keyhole to make sure that we get things done. But for the board and you're coming up to Washington and are discussing what it was that we were doing, and for Congress for giving us the dollars to support this program, and for Clyde Marsh, who is truly a remarkable individual. He does so much work behind the scenes. He doesn't look for the credit. He just makes sure that he assembles a team that together gets things done. And you can be very proud that he is your Commissioner for Veterans Affairs here in the state of Alabama. I have the pleasure of introducing Mr. Stephen L. Muro, a 2-time Vietnam veteran, Navy, Seabee, came to NCA a very long time ago, and we'll leave it at that. Started off as a mechanic, has worked his way up to the number 3 position within the Department of Veterans Affairs, only because he has the same passion. He has the same devotion each and every day. If you go up to any of the national cemeteries and you walk around, you don't see them the way that he sees them. He says, do you see that headstone on the 4th row over there somewhere in something? It's out of alignment. He's that devoted to making sure that NCA Shrine standards are the standards for veterans. He has been to over 50 of the state veteran cemeteries that are out there that are currently operating. He has 131 of his own cemeteries that he oversees. And he's, I think, other than myself, he spends more time out visiting and making sure that the standards that he sets for himself are the standards that are there for everyone else. And with honor, I'd like to introduce the Undersecretary for Memorial Affairs, Mr. Stephen L. Murrow.
Thank you. Thank you. Governor Bentley, Congressman Bonner, Admiral Marsh, thank you for the opportunity to be here today. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow veterans and fellow cemeterians, we also have another cemetery director sitting back there in the back, Sandy Beckley. Can you stand up for a second, Sandy? Sandy is actually retired, but you see the kind of support we get from our directors, so thank you for being here. It's a pleasure to be here to do this groundbreaking today with this partnership of the national cemeteries and the state cemeteries so that we can provide a burial space for our veterans, for the veterans of the United States, for those, that 1%, think about it, 1% of the American public puts on one of the uniforms, whether it be a Marine or a sailor or an airman, a Coast Guardman or a soldier. That's what they really are. That's what we all are. We're all part of the United States of America, okay? And what a beautiful spot right across with the last battle during the Civil War. And when we look back, this year we're celebrating 150 years since the Civil War. And think about it, Congress gave President Abraham Lincoln the authority to start the national cemeteries back then. He gave him authority to buy land to bury those that fell in battle, because in the past, before that, they were buried wherever they fell. Today, the National Cemetery Administration maintains 12 of those original 14 that were opened up, 12 of those, and 47 of ours date back to the 1800s. And 82, and this one hopefully will be 83, we actually don't start counting them till we do the first burial, but it'll be another state cemetery to serve the veterans of this state for the service they gave to this nation. Think about it, 35 years now we've been doing state cemeteries, and we have 82. Last year, in all the state cemeteries, did under just 30,000 burials. 30,000 veterans came to one of your states to be buried, which we should be proud of. You know, Frank Salvis came on board a few years ago, and he had a tough task. He had a tough task to get a lot of states that didn't want to step up and put state cemeteries. And he took it on, and he's brought on quite a few cemeteries. As he said, 2 Mondays ago, we had the opportunity to do a groundbreaking with the Sioux tribe, the Rosebud tribe, for the first tribal cemetery, which is really nice. They can have their warriors buried on their land instead of having to commute 2 hours to another national cemetery. So Frank, thank you for that. What you don't know is Frank's decided to take on another career called retirement, which is unfortunate, but thank you for what you do, Frank. You know, it's always a pleasure for me to come to these ceremonies because I'm a cemeterian. I start off in a cemetery. I love visiting my cemeteries, and I love doing groundbreakings because I know what we do is right for those veterans that serve, for those men and women that are serving today, for the men and women that served in the past. We're doing the right thing. We're giving them a nice resting place, a place that they can come to, their loved ones can come to and visit and be able to reflect on the service. And think about it, 150 years from now when this cemetery may be full, maybe still running, people will come and see, and the headstones will tell a story of those who gave their life, those who gave their time, and their families. Because as President Lincoln said, to care for him who shall have borne the battle, and his widow and his orphan, and we do that day in and day out in state cemeteries and in national cemeteries. So thank you all for the opportunity to be here today. And thank you for stepping up to the bat, Admiral Marsh and the Commission, for bringing the cemetery here, and all the veterans for pushing for it. The best thing we could do is provide a burial space here for the veterans of this community. Thank you very much. God bless America. God bless the men and women in uniform. And may God bless all of you. Thank you very much.
We were supposed to have someone from Senator Sessions' office come and share greetings today. Did Ms. Valerie Day, will you please join us?
Good afternoon to Admiral Marsh, to Governor Bentley, to Congressman Joe Bonner. On October 6, 2011, to the Alabama State Veterans Memorial Cemetery, Spanish Fort, Alabama. Dear friends, the Senator sends these greetings. Thank you for the opportunity to join you by way of this letter in celebrating the groundbreaking of the new Alabama State Veterans Memorial Cemetery. This cemetery will be crucial in providing an appropriate and proper final resting place for our area veterans who would otherwise have been buried in cemeteries in other states. While this has been a long time coming, we have seen the hard work done by our local veteran groups and the local communities in boldly pushing this project forward in recent years. It is my hope that this cemetery will serve Alabama veterans for generations to come. The noble men and women that take up the call of their country to fight for the freedoms so precious to us all deserve this sacred ground in the soil of Alabama. They embody the goodness and character of our state. We must remember to never break faith with those servicemen who have earned our respect and our gratitude. The work to make this cemetery a reality was only accomplished through the determined efforts of our local veteran groups, local communities, the Baldwin County Commission, the Alabama State Government, the Alabama Department of Veterans Affairs, the United States Department of Veterans Affairs, and your members of Congress. I am looking forward to the completion of the first phase of this development, and thank all of you for your hard work. God bless you, and God bless America. Very truly yours, U.S. Senator Jeff Sessions.
Thank you, Ms. Day, for joining us today. Please send our regards and gratitude to Senator Sessions. Our final three speakers for this afternoon are Congressman Joe Bonner, your representative, Frank Burt, Chairman of the Baldwin County Commission, and Mac Walcott, who is our architect who designed the cemetery for you. Gentlemen.
What an incredibly beautiful day today is. As you were in line to get here, if you were like me, you were thinking it's going to be worth the wait. And in fact, it is. As I was sitting next to Governor Bentley, I was thinking about how much we are blessed every day, but how special today is that the Lord has blessed us with this beautiful day for this grand moment. Mr. Secretary, Admiral Marsh, Governor Bentley, in reflecting on today, I couldn't help but take back to a personal trip that my wife and I took on the 4th of July. Janae and I had never taken our children to Washington to see their nation's capital celebrate Independence Day. And so we took our 13-year-old son and our 16-year-old daughter and sat on the Capitol grounds and watched the beautiful fireworks of our nation's capital. It was indeed special. The next day was more so. Early that morning on the 5th of July, Janae and I took Lee and Robbins and we went to Arlington National Cemetery to pay tribute to the sons and daughters of Alabama who are buried at the most famous of our hallowed burial grounds, Arlington Cemetery. We visited the gravesite of a famous Civil War veteran, General Joe Wheeler. We visited where Alabama's only Supreme Court Justice, Hugo Black, his remains lie in rest. We had a chance to go where just 2 years ago, Judge Russell, probate judge Tim Russell, and I had a chance to go to honor a fallen son of Baldwin County, Lieutenant Colonel Mark Stratton. Judge Russell, unfortunately, that area at Arlington is filled now with tombstones just like those honoring Mark. But I couldn't help but think about how special a cemetery for veterans is to all of us. My son, Robbins, was looking at the meticulous accuracy of all those headstones from Afghanistan and Iraq all the way back to the American Revolution. Actually, Arlington began the Civil War, but we honor every veteran, every man and woman who has put on the uniform at that cemetery, just as we will do at this cemetery here. He said, "Dad, all the tombstones look alike." And there on that morning of July 5th, I gently reminded my 13-year-old son, who's taller than I am, looking up at him, that while they all look alike, each one tells a different story. Each one represents a different family. Each one represents a different moment in American history. And each one represents a proud part of who we were and who we are as a nation. Today would not be possible were it not for all of the veterans who are here and who've already stood and been recognized, and those others who are not here but on whose shoulders we stand today, because we are a free nation because of you. And that's what this is all about. Other elected officials have been recognized, and while it's always a danger to mention anyone in particular, I'm so sorry that my predecessor, Congressman Callahan, couldn't make it here, because no one deserves more credit at the federal level for working with the state and local leaders, Baldwin County Commission, Mobile County Commission, and others to help make this day a reality. And so the next time you see Sonny, I hope you'll have a chance to say thank you to him for his leadership in helping to make this a reality. There's another man who is here, though, and he was recognized earlier, but I want you to help me say a special thank you to him. Because while he is most known for helping to put together what has been an incredibly successful way of honoring those from the greatest generation with the honor flights, 6 already that have come our way. Most people don't realize that Dr. Barry Booth had intended for this property to be his gift to his children. But because of his love of every single veteran who has ever donned the uniform of their country and worn with pride their flag on their shoulder, today is a reality. Please join me in thanking Dr. Barry Booth and his family. On behalf of Senator Shelby, and Valerie has already recognized the tremendous contribution Senator Sessions has made, all of us who are so proud and honored to wear the title of public servant, we join today in this very proud moment, not for Baldwin County or Mobile County, not just for Alabama, but for America. Because today is truly a day where we open the doors to future moments of celebration of life and salute to service. And there couldn't be a better place than here in Spanish Fort. Thank you very much, and God bless you all.
I stand humble before all the veterans who are gathered in this place, all those who've stepped out and joined in this quest that began for this site 3 decades ago, I believe, when the Mobile National Cemetery had reached capacity. And it began in the county commission and in my life about 6 years ago, when a group of veterans who'd received the Purple Heart came before the county commission that morning requesting that we set aside a Purple Heart Day in Baldwin County. I was deeply moved by all those who were present, some who were there then are not here today, but I was deeply moved, as was other members of the commission, and I was invited, along with my wife, to attend a breakfast they were having at the captain's table on Sunday morning. I thought about it. Normally I was at church, and I pondered it, prayed about it, and thought that's where I needed to be at that breakfast that morning. And those veterans who were there during that period of time talked about their search for burial sites for veterans of South Alabama, especially Southwest Alabama. Colonel Callender, who was a member of that group, who had been assigned a task to search for a site, a dear and precious friend of mine, Everett White, and his wife, Ora May, were also served on that committee that had been formed with the South Alabama Veterans Administration to find a suitable site for the expansion of the National Cemetery in Mobile. And Congressman Callahan, who's not present this morning, but had actually passed legislation setting aside funds to expand that cemetery and to acquire a site. The search had gone on, and as they began to share their story of how long they'd searched in Mobile, how close they'd come to finding a site, only at the last moment some reason or something got in the way, and it just couldn't happen. And so as they talked, and at the end of that breakfast, while we were standing around, they had searched primarily in Mobile because to expand the National Cemetery, it had to be within a certain distance of that cemetery. I asked them, have you ever thought about Baldwin County? We got a lot of veterans in Baldwin County. We love our veterans in Baldwin County, and y'all do in Mobile as well. But they just couldn't seem to put it together. And so they began to take an interest. They began to work together. Colonel Callender led it along with Everett and his wife, Ora May, from Perdita, Alabama, almost on a daily basis called me or came by my office to talk about searching for a site. Then one day they came and says, we've found the site. Nothing you can do but go with us now to that site. We drove up to this place. At the time, International Paper Company had the land for sale. Everett and Ora May had searched all that out. They had it all laid out. And what could happen and how it could happen, that was 5 years ago, I believe. And they began to work with the veterans groups in all of South Alabama and working with, I remember the first meeting we had with Congressman Bonner, I believe at the Benville Club. We filled up that place that morning. Admiral Marsh was certainly there, and the first time we'd met him, and we knew we had a task ahead of us. But we had all prayed and knew that the need was there, that God would provide. And I can stand here today and tell you and declare what a glorious and wonderful day, what a wonderful event that God has ordained for this place at this time. As we began to search for and try to acquire the site, the commissioners, Commissioner Grinlow was there. I believe, forgotten who was chairman that, I believe Commissioner Lipscomb was chairman at that time. And we began to come together to try to acquire the site. Turned out IP was auctioning the site, and we did all we could to acquire it, but we just couldn't quite reach the financial needs that would have taken to acquire the full 150-acre site that they were auctioning off. My dentist for more than 30 years has been Dr. Barry Booth. I visited his office many a time at 5:30 or 6 in the morning. I shared a lot of my concerns with the commission and others with my dentist. I knew his love for the veteran, and we talked about this site, and it turned out he was also a bidder on the site. He assured me that some way this site would be acquired. He did. And then right after that, I went to visit him again. He assured me, I think that day though, that he actually acquired it and had the winning bid. Frank, whatever the county commission would like to set aside for a cemetery, a veteran cemetery, we was hopeful that it'd be a national cemetery at the time. I'm willing, at the very price that I paid for it, I'll sell it to you. So we began, I say Commissioner Gruber's there, and he was in on this. Joe had left us, Joe Faust, and gone on into the legislature, but it took a lot of us working together. But we came to an agreement, bought the site about 5 years ago, I believe, from Dr. Booth, at least 100 acres of it from Dr. Booth. He donated 3 acres that fronts on the highway so we could have an entrance. And when that happened and the county acquired the site, we still have the task of, and I believe I talked with you several times on the phone and exchanged emails, and he assured us, and I think they came down and visited the site and sites in Mobile. I still have the email I believe we received from Washington saying that this was a suitable site for a veteran cemetery. When it all came together, when Joe and all our representatives, Randy Davis and Steve McMillan and others, we needed, on every way we turned, it was kind of like the 2 men riding the mule, or the man riding the mule. Everywhere we got, it was just one more task it seemed we had to do, and we felt like pretty much, I was thinking, Admiral, as you said that, we felt pretty much like that poor old man and his grandson toting that mule, because everywhere we turned, it was one more thing we needed. And but whatever it was, God led us. He blessed the task that we were on, and it all came to pass. And I know this day, at this time, as a testimony that I can live, and I believe every one of you who've been involved in this process along can give the credit to God Almighty, who I believe prepared this site. I don't know, whenever he prepared the earth, I'm sure. But little did we know at the time, the people who were searching for a church site, they found it too. That we have a veteran of the Revolutionary War buried 100 yards over here at that site. We have the last battle, as you said, of the Civil War just across the road. God knew where that cemetery needed to be. And John Tyson Sr., I know you wanted it in Mobile, and I was all for you if we could have found it, but we couldn't because God had prepared this place. And I thank God that he did. And I hope and pray, and I know all of you will, pray for his continuance, watch over this hallowed site that he has prepared, that it may forever be a memorial to veterans, all veterans, and the families who've served this wonderful nation of ours, and may it also be an eternal testimony to the grace and the goodness of God. And if we'll follow him, he'll lead us home. And here we are. Thank y'all so much for inviting me.
Thank you, Commissioner Burke. You have answered for me so many of the questions that we've looked at when we worked on this project. It seems like a lot of the heavy lifting was done over the past 10 years to bring this amazing ground together, and he and I were talking earlier about God's will in this, and it's pretty apparent to me, and I want to share a little bit about how the design process came together. We have a little bit of good news, bad news story in that we got hired in January, I think, and I think the good news, we were hired. The bad news is we had 6 months to do something that normally takes a year and a half, I think, or something. So everything worked together. The critters that were out there, the environmental stuff, the master plan, everything couldn't have worked smoother. And we've talked in our office, how is it that every now and then a project just works like this one did? And I thought a lot about it, and I think it's three components. One, we had a secret weapon, Ken Kallenbach over there. Ken, stand up for us. Ken's firm was our cemetery planners. They have done, I said 100 of these this morning, they've done 23 of these, so we were fortunate to have one of the premier cemetery planners in the country involved in this project. As you said, Commissioner Burke, God had assembled this land already, and that's the most amazing part of it. What a beautiful piece of property to work with. Just a small personal story, when I first walked on the ground over there and saw Zachariah Godbold's grave, I thought, Godbold, that's my wife's grandmother's maiden name. And sure enough, that's her grandmother is related to Zachariah Godbold over there, so that's a tiny world story, which is kind of neat. The second component of the success of being here today, I think, has been the amazing, I've never done a veterans project before, but everything that we did, once we described the project to anybody involved, we got the most cooperation imaginable. And I think it also helped, we had a nice cover letter from Admiral Marsh that pre-requested cooperation and described the urgency of the project. So anytime we asked for help, it came forward. The second part of that I've thought a lot about is we hear a lot about bad bureaucracies and big government. Well, it didn't exist on this project. The team we worked with from Sandy on up through Admiral Marsh and Mr. Salvis and Howard Orr, who was our project manager, we got answers quicker than we get in the private sector. And it was just the opposite of what you hear about projects being hard to do. So these guys really, it worked. It's one of those good stories about that. As we get to the next phase of the building of the project, another great thing has happened. Now, y'all know this is a public bid job, so we could have, and it's a big enough job that it got regional attention when we put it out for bid. So we could have gotten anybody from California to Kalamazoo working on it, and the low bidder on bid day was White Spunner Construction. Now, if you know White Spunner, they've been around a long time. They're a top-notch firm, and I know John's right over there. I know they're doing this project because they want to do this job, and they're the first illustration of this is they're hosting this event today. All of this infrastructure you see there is his team has been working for about a week to make this all happen today. They're a prayerful group. I know everything they do is guided by prayer, and we're just lucky to have them for this next stage of the journey. And I think it's the success we've had so far will continue with John's involvement. So thank y'all for being here.
I will now ask the guest from the stage to please join me so that we may break the ground. If you will please direct your attention over near the American flag for our Trek presentation, please. If everyone will please stand for the presentation of memorial rights. If you'll please direct your attention over the hill.
Present arms.
Thank you for joining us. Please come to the Fellowship Hall to continue the celebration.